Okay, so like we talked about, a couple of strategies that you can use in your classroom to do data analysis would be using a common assessment with other teachers and also discussion with like-minded colleagues. In the book, Coach Wooden discusses that he used to meet with a lot of different coaches from all different schools, at all different levels, collegiate sports, professional sports, just to get their opinions on things that he could do better, things his players could do better. And so he talked a lot with his colleagues, so that's definitely something we can do too as teachers. In the last point, organization for instruction, these are just some suggestions that he gives. Not all of these may fit in your classroom, but these are some ideas. Fundamentals before creativity, meaning students need to have a firm grasp on fundamentals before we get to outside the box. Using variety in your teaching techniques, teaching new material, keeping everything the same all the time. Quick transitioning, and that went back to the timing. We talked about pacing a lesson instead of having a lot of downtime. Increasing complexity and skill as you move along. Conditioning, meaning we should, help our students learn emotionally, not so much physically in the classroom, but that was more, as a coach. End on a positive note, and avoid altering a plan during the lesson, which of course we have to change our lesson sometimes, right? But that was part of his reasoning for making notes all the time, is that he would go back and change it once he had time to assess it and come up with a solution instead of just trying to fix it on the fly without really being prepared. And if you want to be a favorite teacher, these are the things that he says by talking to students, his players, things that great teachers do. They make learning engaging, they have a passion for the material, they have a deep subject knowledge, which we talked about. They're organized, they're intense at times. We know some intense teachers, I'm sure. They know students need to be recognized, they treat everyone with respect and fairness, and they make it known that they like being with their students. That was never a question for him. As soon as his players would come in, they would know automatically that he wanted to be nowhere else but in the gym with them. So he said that's something that's really important. And a quote that actually came from the book, but it's not his own words, but something that he kind of has always remembered since he read it in a book in like the 1930s. No written word, no spoken plea can teach our youth what they should be. Nor all the books on all the shelves, it's what the teachers are themselves. And I really like that quote. He strongly believed that teaching is a moral profession where we really have to lead by example, that it's really about who we are and how we present the material to students. It's not just about the content or teaching fundamentals or whatever. It's really more about building relationships with students. And there's a reference in case you want to buy yourself a copy of this book. Do y'all have any questions for me? Anybody? Ways you can maybe use it in your classroom? Maybe the planning might be helpful to remember those objective-based ideas, because I think sometimes we kind of get away from that, even though we always hear that, objectives, we sometimes stray from that. And just getting to know students, I think that's important too, especially as we're about to start a new school year. But I will say my students, especially my fourth period full of rambunctious sophomore boys, have taken to calling me Coach Raz, which at first I was like, don't call me Coach, and some of the other teachers were like, no, don't call me that. But the more I thought about it, when I kind of read the book, I kind of thought, well, it's kind of a good thing, because a lot of times coaches demand a little more respect from students, but I think if they see me that way, I'm really okay with it. I mean, if they see me as someone who's coaching them through an academic subject versus someone who's, coaching them on the field or the court, I'm okay with that. All right, well, thank you guys very much.